Welcome to the Spokane and Coeur housing market update. It's August 2025. This video is for you if you just want the facts about the local housing market here without any of the BS. By the end of this video, you'll know what you need to know to be an informed home buyer or home seller. It's that simple. My name is Phil Wells. I'm a real estate agent licensed in both Washington and Idaho, who for the past 6 years has been helping buyers, sellers, and investors get to where they need to be. We're going to start this video by taking a look at mortgage rates. We'll then take a deep dive into the Spokane housing market and then the Coeur d'Alene housing market. One quick plug before we get going. Go and follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active throughout the month. I post real estate news, market updates, and real estate tips throughout the month. So go and follow me there. So let's get into it. Looking first at the behavior of the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage over the past month. Mortgages and Federal Reserve policy are getting a lot of eyeballs right now, and it's all over the news. So it's important when there's a lot of noise to cut through all that noise and see what's really going on. So at the start of July, mortgage rates were 6.67%. We then saw a hump in terms of mortgage rates throughout July, before a significant drop-off into August to where they are today at 6.58%. I thought that those rates looked pretty low, so I went back in time to see when mortgage rates were last 6.5%, and I had to go back to October 2024 for this. So things are moving in a positive direction there in terms of mortgage rates. But what does the future hold for mortgage rates? Well, at the most recent meeting of the Federal Reserve, they stuck to their headline policy, holding rates between 4.25 and 4.5%, which they have done for quite a while now. But a big shakeup is on the horizon. Relentless pressure from the White House and now increasing pressure from the markets seem to be suggesting that rate cuts are imminent. JP Morgan is now predicting 4 rate cuts before the year is out. Even if those rate cuts are only 0.25% at a time, those 4 rate cuts could add up to 1% drop in terms of the Fed funds base rate by the end of the year. That's going to have a pretty dramatic impact on mortgages. And that might be the shot in the arm that this otherwise pretty stagnant housing market needs. Now, as promised, there's no BS in this video. We've looked at mortgage rates. We're going to look straight away at the Spokane market and see what's going on there. These are the latest figures that are available. They detail actual sales for the last complete month's worth of data that we have, which is July. Sales are up here a modest 1% last month. That's almost stagnant then in terms of home sales here in Spokane. We did see that recent drop in mortgage rates as we entered August, so I'm hoping that's going to have a positive impact on the data when it's released for August next month. Median home prices in Spokane are $425,000. They are up 0.6% on a year-over-year basis. That's an increase in purchase prices, yes, but that increase is below the rate of inflation. So a real terms drop there for home prices at the height of the summer selling season, I might add, here in Spokane. New and active listings are both up substantially here. While it's positive to see a trend being towards more people listing rather than fewer listings, we do want to see that inventory being sold. Otherwise, we're going to end up with a glut of inventory, and that's going to have downward pressure in terms of prices. And you can see days on market of 21 days. So if your home's priced right, you'll likely have a contract on it inside of 3 weeks. It is worth noting that just last month, though, I was reporting that days on market were 2 weeks. So in terms of percentage increases, that's a huge jump in terms of days on market here in Spokane. That is one to watch. So if you're a buyer in the Spokane market, it feels like a good time to buy, honestly. You have an increasing pool of inventory and stabilizing home prices. So if you have the ability to buy right now, you should. Please don't be one of those people that are sat around waiting for mortgage rates to have a 5 handle. You're not the only one. There's a 3 to 4 year backlog of people waiting for good mortgage rates. If you have the ability to buy now, please do, because when those rates do come back down, you're going to be competing and things like inspection concessions and closing costs, maybe getting a property below list price are not going to happen anymore. It's going to be a much more competitive situation with a lot more buyers out there. In fact, I think history is going to show that there is right now materializing a good window of opportunity to buy. If you're a seller in this market, then know that you should have a contract on your property inside of 3 weeks if you're priced right. The caveat there is that you have to be priced right. On top of this, doing proper preparation on the listing, walking through the property with your agent and taking care of any of those maintenance items or those negative attention grabbers is going to pay dividends in the long run. Looking into paying for staging as well is going to be beneficial to you. You can't leave anything to chance in this market. Also remember though that with the best preparation and the best pricing in the world, buyers are very sensitive right now to things that cost them money, and cancelled contracts are very common right now, so don't be disheartened if you do go into contract and then come out of contract again. It's pretty common. Now let's take a look at the housing market in beautiful Coeur d'Alene. Remember, of course, that the Coeur d'Alene MLS encompasses a lot of North Idaho. It's not just the city of Coeur d'Alene, we're talking Post Falls, Rathdrum, Athol, all over the place. These are the latest figures that are available, and they detail figures from the last month that we have a complete month of data for, that being July. Coeur d'Alene's actual sales in July moved up an impressive 7.9%. which is very positive news. And as you can see, cumulatively for 25 versus 24, sales are ahead 2.5%. So a very positive month posted there in terms of sales for Coeur d'Alene, and it looks like it's shaping up to be a pretty good year in terms of sales here in Coeur d'Alene. Looking now at absorption rates, also known as months of supply. We are currently at 6.32 months, and we're creeping back up here in Coeur d'Alene. That's not what you want to see if you're a seller, because the more inventory there is, the more chance that your home gets lost in a sea of inventory. You might have a beautiful home, 3 garage spaces, a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home in a beautiful area with a nice school district, but you might be competing with 18 other homes that all match that description. That makes it pretty difficult to stand out if you're a seller. Median home prices are up 1.82% to $560,000 on a year-over-year basis here in July. As with Spokane, that price increase isn't keeping up with inflation. In fact, that's a real-term decrease for home prices here in Coeur d'Alene this month. Bear in mind, we are at the height of the summer selling season. A decrease in home prices is not what you expect to see here right now. Median days on market in Coeur d'Alene for July was 61 days. So approximately 2 months on market, and you should have a contract if you're priced right in the Coeur d'Alene market right now. That being said, that's a long time on market to find out if you've done everything right. So you as a seller should take away from this that selling your home isn't going to be something you can do passively. You're going to have to go through your home with a pretty fine-tooth comb and fix all those obvious maintenance issues and take care of all those things that represent what I call negative attention grabbers, so that when your potential buyer has their initial walkthrough, all they see is themselves living in your property, not all the things that they have to fix when they move in. Sure, this might mean that you have a few weekends taken up with DIY, but honestly, it's going to be worth it in the long run. So, if you're a buyer in the Coeur d'Alene market, you might be thinking to yourself, it looks like a pretty good market for buyers. And you'd be right. We have a pretty large inventory pool and quite a lot of days on market. You should take from this that you can shop for homes at your leisure. You don't need to go out and rush the second something you like hits the market. Buyers should understand, though, that homes are largely retaining their value. Sure, the past month was a little bit of a real terms decrease when you take into account inflation, but for the most part, over the course of this year, home prices have steadily been increasing here in Coeur d'Alene. So, in short, I said this last month, and it was true then as it is now, you'll likely be able to buy the home that you want to buy here in Coeur d'Alene if you have the means to do so, but you're unlikely to close feeling like you got the deal of the century. Sure, you may be able to negotiate things like inspection concessions or maybe upfront closing costs along the way, but those home prices don't seem to be budging too far too fast. So overall, it's a pretty pleasant market to be a buyer. Sellers in this market should be looking at a few factors working to their detriment. High inventory, 61 days on market, and pretty stagnant prices this last month is a sign that, as I said before, selling your home isn't going to be a passive endeavor. You're going to have to put some real effort into selling the property. That means, like I said, taking care of those negative attention grabbers, pricing the property properly, doing things like staging and keeping on top of staging and yard care throughout the showing process. The days of listing at the top of your price point and just seeing how it goes are gone. Please don't pursue this strategy in Coeur d'Alene right now. That's it for this video. If there's anything that's missing from this video, or maybe the format that you want to see that's going to help you be an informed home buyer or home seller, leave a comment below or email me direct and let me know. And if you are looking at buying, selling, or investing in the Spokane or Coeur d'Alene area, please reach out to me. My details will be in the description to this video. My name is Phil Wells, and thank you for watching.